Greetings and welcome back to Real Repairs for Real Customers, North Edition. My name's Gary and we're back in West Michigan today, and I'm going to share a repair with you that quite honestly I'd given up on. But before I do that, I'd like to just take a minute here and thank my good friend Rick for putting this forum together so that we can share our ideas with you. Rick has been a tireless teacher in this industry, and he does it not because of his ego, not because he likes to hear himself talk, not for self-grandizing, but because he has the heart of a teacher. And I share that passion with Rick. And over the years, we've shared a lot of ideas, and he has become not only a mentor, but a very dear friend. So I'd like to say from the industry and from me, Rick, thank you very much. Now, the repair we're talking about is the inside pull handles on Chevrolet trucks, truck platforms from about 2010 to up to some 14s. And it includes all Silverados, Sierras, Yukons, Tahoes, and Suburbans. And if you've ever been in more than one of those vehicles or a couple of those vehicles on a car lot and reached in and pulled the door shut, you'll find a broken door handle. It's an age-old problem I've been asked to fix for a long time, and I've tried a lot of different ways to do it, and I could just never come up with a really good, solid, good-looking repair. That is until now. As you know by my swag in previous videos, I'm an old Mars guy. When I say old, I mean old. I've been doing this since 1992. Well, I was in Montana this spring for a Marsman convention. Yes, we have these. And one of the things on the agenda was repairing a Silverado door panel. Well, they had my attention. And the old adage that you can't teach an old dog new tricks wasn't necessarily true here, because what happened was a couple of young pups in this business showed this old dog a really nice way to fix these door panels. I'd like to say I noodled this out on my own, but I didn't. And I'm going to give credit to those guys for that. I'd like to thank Dave Anderson, who works out of the Billings, Montana facility that Devin Davidson has put together there. Thanks, Dave. Will McCullum from South Carolina works with Alan Farmer. Actually demoed a little bit different take on this repair. And Mike Pickard for answering his phone every time I called, because the first couple repairs I did out here in the field, it was nice to have Mike's to sound off from, because he'd done a few of these repairs. I've added a couple things that I didn't see out there, and it involves a hot stapler you'll see in this repair that it will show. And I actually rivet the reinforcement piece in place. It just makes an extremely strong repair. And I say there was two different ways to do this. Dave Anderson actually likes to do them on the vehicle. And because I do all my repairs on site, that's the way I've gone with this. This repair, you'll see, I'll just leave the door panel right on the truck and work on it right there. Will McCullum likes to take them off and take them back to his shop to do them. Nothing wrong with that. And here's a bolo alert, guys. Be on the lookout. Rick is going to do a video of this repair, his own take. And he prefers to take the door panels off. He uses a little bit different bracing materials, a little bit different technique, but I can guarantee you we end up in the same spot. We each did a leather repair, basically the same repair. We came at it from different directions, but we ended up in the same spot. Well, it's really good, solid, beautiful repairs. And it doesn't make any difference which way you choose to do this. Choose the way that works best for you. Now, I put everything together, an inventory list of what you'll need. Most of these tools you guys aren't going to have, but there's a couple things you may want to think about getting if you don't have. We'll go over that inventory list to show you what it takes to do this repair, and then we're going to get to work. Okay, I've assembled everything needed for this repair right here. There may be something here that I have that you don't have. One thing I have that is an invaluable tool is that hot stapler right there. If you guys don't have one of those things, you really should get one. It's an invaluable tool for any kind of plastic repair. But let's start kind of at the beginning of this repair. The first thing I have here is a piece of 1x1 angle iron. You can get that at Home Depot or Lowe's. It comes in an 8-foot length. I cut it to 10 or 11 inches. And that's going to span the area that's broken. You'll see what I'm talking about. I'm going to pull all the broken plastic out of there. And I'm going to use that as a bridge. All right. I have some 1/8-inch pop rivets here. An 1/8-inch drill bit in my drill, and a pop rivet gun. And that's something I do a little bit different than what I learned, and I think it makes a very good, strong repair. It's even better than what I learned. The other next thing I have is a product called Fuser. The one on the right says fast. Trust me, it means fast. I got in a trick bag with the 142 one day. It was about 90 degrees, which doesn't happen often in Michigan. And at 70 degrees, you got about 3 minutes of work time with that. I had about 30 seconds before it started setting up on me. And it was like a concrete guy watching his floor set before he got it troweled out. It wasn't the neatest repair. It was really strong, but it wasn't the neatest repair. So what I did is I went to the 152, which gives you about, at 70 degrees, gives you about 5 minutes of work time. You guys in Texas or Florida, I recommend having both. I'll use the 142 this fall when it gets cooler in Michigan. You need the dispensing gun with it. It's a typical dispensing gun for a cartridge like that. That dispensing gun costs about $50, and these tubes are about $50 a piece, but you can get probably 6 to 8 repairs out of one of those tubes. Again, then I have a hot stapler. I like this one. It's called Easy Red. I like it because it's a 90-degree bend and it straightens up, so it goes straight or a 90-degree. Roll of tape. I have Super Gel or Power Gel. It's a CA gel glue with some kicker. The red things are the mixing tips for these. I have a tuck tool, and I have a paint gun with my dye in it. And that's all the tools you need. And again, if you guys are serious about interior repair and you don't have one of those little buggers right there, you need to get one. You can get them on Amazon for about $189. That thing's paid for itself hundreds of times. It's just invaluable for dash repairs. It's a hot stapler, and I'll demonstrate how. If the door panel I'm going to fix needs that, I'll show you how to use it. If not, I'll show you where I use it. And that's basically what you need to do this repair. It's a little bit more in depth repair than what we typically do, but this is one that I don't know anybody that's been fixing these things around here. And again, I thank the guys from the Mars Group out in Billings and South Dakota and North Dakota that have helped me with this repair. And I'm going to show them a couple things in this video that I do a little bit different that take it to another level. So let's find that broken door panel and get to work. Okay, here's our victim. I always like calling them victims because actually we should call it a patient. This is a typical one here. What happens is all this white plastic like that just fell out, all these pieces are all broken, and I want to just get them out of here anyway, so as long as it's right there, I'm going to pull it off. And then what will happen is this cup will break in two. And then all you're left with is this vinyl as your bridge that you have to grab onto to close the door, and that doesn't work. So we're going to get into how to fix this thing. We'll go through it step by step. I've assembled everything we need to do this. You've seen this on another video, but here's everything we need. I've got 142 Lord Fuser today, and I'm going to have to work extremely quick because I got about 2-minute work time with this stuff before it starts setting up on me, and I hope it does. I know that, so I got to work quick. Stapler, drill, rivet gun, rivets, CA glue, that's the power gel, a little yellow tuck tool, some staples right there for the hot stapler, and that's pretty much everything you need. Gloves, because you don't want to manipulate the glue without those on, or the fuser is a little bit messy if you're not careful. So that's what we need to do. Let's get started on this one. The broken pieces out of here. Keep this foam. There's a piece of foam right here. Make sure you keep that because we want that there. What you're going to do is I got to pull this loose a little bit right here, and that one of the hardest things about this job is getting that tucked back in right. I want to get back to this piece of plastic right here, and I got to do the same thing right here. I got to pull this loose a little bit. I've seen it pulled loose all the way across here, and again, that's one of the hardest things is to get that all tucked back in where we need it. There's a piece of plastic here I'm trying to get at on this end right there, that piece of white plastic. what we're going to do is we're going to use a piece of angle iron, which I didn't get out yet, and bridge that gap with a piece of angle iron. All right, so let me find a piece of angle iron here that'll fit in there and we'll get going. 1 by 1 by 1/8 angle iron. You can get this at Home Depot or Lowe's. It comes in an 8-foot length. I cut it into about 11-foot lengths, 11-inch lengths. You can get 6 of them out of a 8-footer, and then you can get 3 10s. I'm going to use the shortest one I can. I know this span is a long ways from here to up here. I need all 11 inches of this. You can see this cup thing is actually broken right loose. We're going to deal with that here. We have to deal with that first. All right, so we're going to deal with this first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my hot stapler here. All I want to try to do is get this back in place. This isn't really where my strength's going to be from these staples. I just want this in place. I'm just going to bury a few staples in here. You really need to have one of these little staple guns. These things are invaluable for plastic repair. I don't think I got that one in where I needed it. Nope. Try that again. That's pretty close. Ouch, they get hot fast. Let that sit there for a second. You can see I'm just trying to get that held together. I'm going to try put half a dozen staples in here. I'll put some on the outside. We'll deal with that when we get to it. I'm not worried about the tab ends in here. Matter of fact, I'll leave them there because when I fill this with epoxy, it'll just help grab the epoxy. So I want to get at least 1 or 2 back up in there. See, I got it back up in here where we're broken. I get that as close as I can together. I'm just going to turn them a little sideways here and just try to catch as much of that as I can. All I'm really doing with this is holding this together in the right position. We're going to fill this whole void with epoxy when we're done, and I always concentrate right in the center to fill this all up with epoxy so that we got more strength from the inside too. I'll actually run a couple staples in from the backside here. And obviously we're going to have to cut these off, grind them off with a Dremel. We get a couple underneath and we'll call this good. If you spread these staples out a little bit like that before you put them into your stapler, they don't fall out. Otherwise they like to fall out on you. So I'm just going to get a couple up underneath like this. These tabs obviously I gotta cut off, so, and then I'm going to grind them off with a Dremel. Those staples heat up and cool off very quickly. I like to, when I bury one, let off the power button here and let them chill just for 2 seconds or so that they're hard. Otherwise that plastic is real soft and you'll pull the staple right back out. So, in my introductory, I forgot to say you need a Dremel, a pair of side nippers here. I'm going to cut those tabs off there and then just grind them flush in there. I'm going to cover that crack, fill that crack in the back there with CA glue and sand that all flush.
Now what I want to do is I just want to take this and just grind them so they're not sharp. I'm going to fill this backside crack up with super glue too on the outside. Right now I just want to get rid of the tabs. Okay. We got those ground off. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to find my angle iron. Okay. We're going to come in the back like this. I'm going to go underneath that foam, push it back, underneath the foam, and then on top of that white piece of plastic up front. This is our new bridge that takes place on all that broken plastic. That's a pretty long span right there, but we got plenty. I think we're good there. Now I'm going to do something that the guys at Mars didn't show me. This is something I've come up with along the way, is I'm going to rivet this thing in here. It just gives me some extra strength. It's very important that you get this at the right height. There's a gap right here, and that lip has to get tucked in back behind that. So if I put my angle iron down like that, I'm not going to be able to get at it. So I want to pick that angle iron up at the same level as that plastic. I'm going to drill a hole here. One there, and I want to get one up here. This one I gotta put up. I don't like pulling that back any farther than I have to. Again, try to get that right at the same level. This, I don't have a lot of room here on this one. I'm just gonna get right here. Okay, that's an 1/8 inch drill bit. I got some 1/8 inch rivets here with a 1/4 inch grip. I have some longer ones in case you need it, but the 1/4 inch ones seem to be the ones that work up most of the time. Line that up, stick your rivet in there. Get a good rivet gun, or pop rivet gun. In the front. I've already got a really nice area to pull on now. That's really solid. That's probably more solid than the original. The rest of the work now is just basically cosmetic. I got to get this tucked back in and held in place, get the back tucked in, get the epoxy in there, and we'll wrap it up. So one of the most challenging parts of this is getting this lip tucked back under here. I just take this little plastic tuck tool, and if I can, I try to pick up on it. Anything I can do to get that lip in behind. I got to get that plastic or that lip back in behind this area right here. That's the only thing. It's stapled to the plastic, but I don't worry about it because once I get this in there, it's not going to come back out. Let me get this most of the way down here. There's a gap in that vinyl right in that lip right there, and it's in a really bad spot because it's always right where my angle iron ends, and I really could use that spot. But this one's going to tuck back in there pretty good. I can see that. We'd ideally like to get it to look just like this. All right, and I think we're going to be able to do it on this one. Now I'm going to start get the front tucked, and then I'm going to come along here. This is really easy to get tucked in there because you just push down on that piece and just pull that up in behind it like that. And then I'm going to glue all the way across the bottom of that with CA glue. So let me get this front piece tucked in right here. Looks good. Now I just got to get that lip back. Now I'm using my angle iron as the piece of plastic that's missing. And you can push down on that with one hand and get that all tucked back up in there in place. That should turn out really nice right there. The only thing, if you do these, if you get lucky and get these done right, the only thing you'll see is this little hump right here. That's the end of my angle iron right here. And then there'll be one back here somewhere, right about there. The average person's never going to know this has been repaired. The dealership will know because these door panels, at this dealership, their service department charges them $700 to replace this door panel with a new one. I talked to a store the other day, said they just bought a new one for $400, and it was the last one a very large Chevy store in Grand Rapids had. They said there weren't any more of them around close that they could get their hands on. These are going to become obsolete, and these vehicles are still valuable enough that people want to be able to close their door. I go about halfway like this. Now I'm going to start gluing that so it all stays together from here. This way we'll be done. So let me get a glove on here because I don't want to burn myself. I'm using power gel. If I can get the top off, you guys know about using this stuff. This is always fun. I'm just going to lay it up under here, get it back up inside there, push that back up where I want it, and I'm going to hit it with accelerator. This is where you burn yourself. I'm just going to hit that a couple times. When you do one of these things, you'll look up in there, there's a gap. I'm also going to start working on that big crack on the back side there and getting that covered up with super glue too. I'm serious, when I'm done with this, doing this, I can probably just glue that back side down and don't even use the epoxy. I use the epoxy because I think it helps hold that broken cup in place back there. So I'm going to try to get that cup in place where I want it. You can see it's a little bit in the wrong position right here. Get that back where I want it. I'm going to come in here and try to get that lined up as best I can, and I'm just going to glue the back side of this really hard. I'm not worried about too much being neat here because I'm going to sand that down here in a few minutes anyway. All right, now I got that. This you're not going to believe how strong this is. I'm pulling on that, that does not move. So we've got an extremely strong repair. Now we need to go for cosmetics. And I think this one's going to turn out real nice. I'm getting that tucked back in right where I want it. See that? I'm going to come up here and come around here. Now I got to get it up underneath that, behind my angle iron right there. Push down on that a little bit. I'll get that lip back up in there. Okay, right there. There, we got everything tucked back in place. This one's gonna look really nice, I can see. We'll just work on tucking that when I'm done. I'm gonna finish gluing across the bottom here now. get this glue in place here, make sure I'm picking up on that just a little bit back there, because I want this across the bottom to be flush. I want the vinyl flush with that piece of plastic back there. And I'll sand, again, I'm going to sand this. I'll have some 120 grit sandpaper here in a second. I'm just going to sand the back of that till when you put your hand down through here, it feels as good as I can get it. I got a little, the cup a little bit out of place back here. I might be able to build that up with glue and sand it back. I think it'll be fine. This is where I usually glue my tube of glue to my hand. If Doug can get right under there, I'll show you what I've been doing down here. See if you can get right up under here. And you see that? It's all glued shut. This is glued down to the plastic. That plastic's really strong. Might as well just use the rest of this glue up here. And then I'm going to sand that, fill it with epoxy, tape it up, and give it about 5 minutes, and we'll be done. I'll clean it up. I might have to shoot a little bit of dye up under here. So, I got a spot back there. I'm going to try to, I got a big, there we go. We got their glue back in there. Now I just want to sand the back of this cup smooth so that when you reach in to pull it shut, it's not a big old glob of glue back here. That broken piece of plastic that we stapled together, I've ran a big thick bead of super glue down the back side of it. Now I'm just trying to smooth it out so it feels better when you hold the handle. There's no big chunks of glue back there. This is pretty good. It feels pretty good. Just about there. This you can spend as much time on as you want, but side check. I get in and I go, where I grab it, that feels really good. If somebody feels it doesn't make any difference, it's going to be real strong. That's good. I did put just a little tiny bead of glue here just to hold that piece back in place. You can see it right here. When I'm done with this, I usually take some black dye and just clean all this up. Any place where there's super glue will have white spots. I'll clean that all up. But this feels really good right now. That's strong. That's stronger than the original door handle right there. We'll tuck that back in there a little bit more. And then I'm going to put some epoxy in here. Get these tucked back where we want. These, once you get it in place, if you just push this tool in there, a lot of times that's pretty darn good right there. That's probably about as good as you can get one of these things right there. Nobody's ever going to see that's the end of my angle iron there and there. So let me clean this up and we'll epoxy this thing down. Okay, I've got the fast fuser here. I have to work extremely quick here. I'm just going to get some of this down in here. When I get to this center section where it was all busted up, I'm going to pump most of it right down in here and fill that up. I want some of this to ooze out the top. too, because that's what's going to catch that other lip and hold that down in place. I got about another 60 seconds before I can't work with this stuff anymore. So guys down in Texas, they make one, it's a 152. It's the same stuff. It gives you about, instead of 3 minutes work time at 90 degrees, it gives you 5 minutes of work time at 90 degrees. So I got that pretty good right there. I'm gonna wipe up anything I got around here before it hardens up on me. I'm gonna start in the back where I started. I wanna get that pushed down into place now. I'm gonna tape it down. Just, I want that, there's a lip, just like I was tucking in behind that angle iron there, that I'm getting right down into that fuser, into that epoxy right now, and that's what's gonna hold this all together and hold this back lip down. Extra there. That stuff is setting up that quick. I'm trying to work real quick here. The back inside of you can feel that stuff getting warm in there. It's just, it's cauterized. It's working that quickly. So we got that back in there pretty good. Really good position there. Again, that cup that you grab onto, that plastic piece is hot right now from that epoxy setting up that quick. So let's clean up our mess here, and we'll come back to you and untape this, do a little dye work, and we'll be done. Okay, here's all the junk that used to be in there. We owe the engineer that developed that great system a debt of gratitude, because I make a lot of money doing this. That epoxy is plenty hard, cured up there. So I'm gonna peel this off. Again, that lip that we were tucking up underneath there is now stuck down into all that epoxy across the top of that plastic cup there. Held down in there with the epoxy. Get rid of all my tape here. I'm gonna wipe this down, and then I'm gonna shoot some dye up underneath it. I got a little, I didn't see this, I got a little bit of that epoxy here, but that stuff will peel if you haven't prepped the plastic, I can peel it right off there a little bit there. Get rid of that. This is from the super glue. We're pretty good. I might hit that with sandpaper one more time. I got just a little rough spot there I want to get rid of. That's pretty good. Okay, we'll clean this up. And I'm going to come up underneath here. I have a little piece of epoxy there, but you can see on that plastic like that, it doesn't stick down to it if it wasn't prepped. Peels right off. I got all this up underneath here that's all white from super glue. I'm just going to paint it. Even though nobody's ever going to look up under there and see it, I'm going to paint it. Anything that where the super glue was might have a little bit of white residue. I'll paint that. Get back here where I had to glue that piece down. Clean the whole thing up, freshen it up, dry that up. This one turned out pretty good. If I looked at this vehicle, I could see that this has been done because I know what I'm looking for, and when you do a few of them, you will too. We'll get a little close-up of it here. Right here. This turned out really good though. The only reason that's like that is because our angle iron's in there, and there's nothing you can do about that. But a person that opens the door on this is never going to notice that. They would have, however, noticed that that piece was broken in half and it was like grabbing onto a noodle to close the door. That's what they would have noticed before. Now, that's really strong. You can stand on this. I tell you, I think you can stand on that now. You're not going to break that. That's a really strong repair. Cosmetics on this one turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this one. My customer, we just saved them about $500. So they'll be happy. So happy, happy, happy. Go out there and be craftsmen.